There are two vital components when we talk about DC on film. There's the Zack Snyder effect. All these posts on Instagram, we need to discuss the latest one, which is very vital and pivotal and very interesting. Snyder is not messing about. Larry Fong, the director of photography, has been posting pictures of his memories on Batman vs Superman and has said he is happy to do more. He has said, never say never. Very, very exciting. Now, what I also want to talk about, we will start in a minute talking about the Snyder situation because what he posted is very exciting, by the way. But a James Gunn shoe account on X Twitter claims that Forbes has said no matter who buys Warner Brothers Discovery, James Gunn and Peter Safran will remain in place as co-CEOs of DC Studios running the DCU. First and foremost, there's no way Forbes can know this. But in Forbes' defense, this shield account does look at these articles and kind of is very creative what he takes from them. So it could be a bunch of bullshit, but I'll let you know very shortly after we discuss the Snyder situation what I think the future for James Gunn, Peter Safran and the DCU is. So Zack Snyder has been at it again. He's posted a poster of Justice is Grey, of Zack Snyder's Justice League, the black and white version on HBO Max. This is Snyder giving us, his fans, a call to action to go on HBO Max and stream Justice is Grey. Now, HBO Max is not available to me here in Cyprus, but here is my advice. Go and do it. Go and stream it. Have it on fucking repeat, whatever you need to do. But it's not just about that. Keep on watching all of the Snyderverse on any streaming platform, not just Max. Max is important because it's directly connected to Warner Brothers Discovery. So what Zack is saying to us is show any prospective future owner of Warner Brothers Discovery that the Snyderverse is really, really popular. Show them it's worth restoring the Snyderverse. That's what he's doing. That, my friends, is very interesting. What's even more interesting about this is the version of Zack Snyder's Justice League he was talking about. Justice is Grey. Is this a hint? Does he want to do Justice League 2 and Justice League 3 in black and white? Which will be very, very interesting, slightly controversial as well. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with whatever Zack wants to do. But yeah, go and stream Justice is Grey on HBO Max because clearly Snyder is telling us that no decisions have been made yet on the future of the restoration of the Snyderverse, and it's up to us to show any prospective new owner that there is a very, very, valid piece of potential in restoring the Snyderverse. So what we can see from this post and all the posts from Snyder is that he's not messing about. He himself definitely wants to restore the Snyderverse, which is very, very exciting. There's no doubt now, it's not just about him posting stuff, posting old memories. He wants to restore the Snyderverse. So this is our responsibility now to show Warner Brothers Discovery and its potential new owners that there's a lot of fans who love Zack Snyder's Justice League, Zack Snyder's Snyderverse, and to go and stream Justice is Grey. But as I say, it is interesting that it was the poster of Justice is Grey. Why that one? That's the thing I'm asking today. Why Justice is Grey? Why not the colour version of Zack Snyder's Justice League Snyder Cut? That, my friends, is very, very interesting. So Snyder is up to something. It's all very well, you know, hashtagging restore the Snyderverse, sell Snyderverse to Netflix, but there's nothing better than actually consumption. Consumption of Zack's DC movies will show any potential owner that, you know, there's a lot of fans, there's a lot of money to be made in restoring the Snyderverse. So it's very, very important to go over on HBO Max if it's available to you and go and stream Justice is Grey. Now it's clear he's not going to elaborate why it's Justice is Grey that he wants us to watch. Now I really like Justice is Grey. There's something different about watching that movie in black and white rather than in colour. I really enjoy that version. I enjoy the black and white version of Logan as well. I think that's really cool. And I think black and white movies are kind of coming back. I think there is a kind of trend with black and white movies as well. So yeah, go and stream Justice is Grey on HBO Max. Now, there's another pivotal, vital situation in the question of the future on DC, on film and television. The future of DC Studios. The future of the DCU. As I said earlier, James Gunn, shill account on X Twitter, claimed that a journalist said that, on a very prominent account, right, Forbes, that no matter who buys Warner Brothers Discovery, James Gunn and Peter Safran will remain in charge of the DCU and DC Studios. As I also said earlier, there's no way Forbes can know this, but this shill account is famous for looking at articles and being very creative with kind of telling its audience, its consumer, what that article actually said. There's been many examples where it's been utter bullshit, so don't go and attack Forbes over this. This is what they do. It's desperate times for James Gunn and Peter Safran, as I keep on saying. So what is the future of the DCU? Right, I believe that Gunn and Safran will be removed as co-CEOs of DC Studios, but will be allowed to be in their little corner producing and making their DCU stuff. That's what I believe the future is. But, by the way, I wouldn't be surprised if whatever lunatic buys Warner Brothers Discovery allows Gunn and Safran to remain as co-CEOs of DC Studios, because this is why we're seeing the death of the American Hollywood studio system, because they're fucking idiots. The old leadership of Hollywood studios loved movies and wanted to make great movies. The current CEOs and suits of Hollywood studios couldn't give a shit. They just want to put any old content, throw anything into cinema as long as there's something there. That's the problem, that's the difference, and that's why we're seeing the death of the studio system. You can expect them to keep on buying each other out, like what's happening with Warner Brothers Discovery. One company will buy the other one out. You know, LA are trying to convince people to stay in California and make TV and film because LA and Hollywood has become a fucking ghost town. So don't be surprised if whoever buys Warner Brothers Discovery keeps Gunn and Safran in place. It would be a disastrous decision for anyone who loves DC and for anyone who's running a fucking business in making DC film and television. You should not be keeping Gunn and Safran in place. You're not going to make any fucking money. I implore you to remove them. And if you want to put them in a little corner and they continue to make their Superman, their Man of Tomorrow, and all that shit, and whatever they're planning, that's fine. But they cannot be the central point of DC live action, because we want individual people to be able to come in and do their thing. I want Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling, Alfred Goff and Miles Miller to do their Smallville animated series. Gunn in charge of DC Studios and Safran in charge of DC Studios are not going to allow that to happen. They only want to produce and make their shit centrally. That's a big problem. But it's not a good business decision. Whoever buys Warner Brothers Discovery to keep Gunn and Safran in place. But let me repeat myself again. There is no way that Forbes can know that if whoever buys Warner Brothers Discovery, they will keep Gunn and Safran in place, in charge of the DCU and in charge of DC Studios. They cannot know that. That is utter bullshit. I don't even know that. I have opinions. I have views. If I bought Warner Brothers Discovery, I would not keep Gunn and Safran in charge of DC Studios. It would be a really, really bad business fucking decision. That's why I wouldn't fucking do it. No one should be doing that. It's time to rebuild the studio system in Hollywood, because it's not dying, it's fucking dead because of these stupid fucking decisions, right? James Gunn made a bad Superman movie, but also I love his Guardians of the Galaxy and his first season of Peacemaker, and I love the Suicide Squad. He's a good, solid writer-director. I don't have an agenda against James Gunn. James, I just didn't like your Superman movie. I'm sorry, it's okay for me to say that. But I'm quite happy for you to have your little corner making your DC shine. That's fine. But you blocking other creatives to come in to do their shite, is a problem. It's a problem if you're not allowing other people to come in. So we don't want a central franchise. We want people coming in, making separate, independent DC projects. That's what we need. That's what the future of DC needs. We need talented people to be allowed to come in to make great DC movies and TV shows. I don't know the future of the DCU, but I do believe, personally, it's a defunct, cancelled universe. There's no fucking money in continuing that franchise. And if whoever buys this company keeps them in charge of DC, they would have to be insane. It would be one of the worst business decisions ever fucking made. Their Superman movie didn't make a lot of money. But the funniest thing about this shill Gunn account saying that Forbes said they're going to keep Gunn and Safran in place due to the huge success of Superman. I'm going to say this really fucking slowly. Superman was not a huge success. It wasn't a moderate success. It wasn't a success. This weekend, Zootopia, a fucking cartoon, brought in over $500 million. The type of money you would expect the Superman movie to bring in, not a fucking cartoon. And you're telling me about the huge success of Superman. Just because you say it's successful, my friends, it doesn't mean it is successful. The movie was a disaster in itself. And 616 million globally is not good enough for a Superman movie, no. And 668 million wasn't good enough for Man of Steel. That movie should have made more money too. End of story. There's no debate. I love Man of Steel, should have made more money. A Batman and a Superman movie. Batman and Superman on the screen should be bringing home around $2 billion. Force Awakens money, right? Spider-Man No Way Home money. Deadpool Wolverine money. I love Batman versus Superman. But these, my friends, are fucking facts. One day, in my lifetime, I want to see a $2 billion Superman movie at the fucking box office. I've got so many different ideas on how to make a brilliant, epic, beautiful Superman movie. But it's interesting when you look at Superman 78 and Man of Steel. Both of them sum up the eras they were made in. Superman 78 visually looks beautiful. They broke ground visually. Superman 78 and Wizard of Oz have one thing in common, that they created new, VFX techniques to be able to make the films that they did. But Superman 78 has the effects, has the visuals, but it also has the heart. Now, Man of Steel, I repeat, a film that I love, is very representative of modern day film, where it's very visual, it's very fast paced, it's very crash and bang, and it's exciting, and it's action packed. It's got some heart, but like the Clark and Lois and Superman relationship in Man of Steel, they rush through it. They're not really interested in the romantic element. They're more interested in the action, in the fast-pacedness. Now, in Superman 78, they're telling the story of Krypton, of Clark on Smallville, and the beautiful romance between Superman and Lois, right? And the frustrations of Clark Kent, Lois not seeing who he really is. They're telling you that fucking story. Now, Quentin Tarantino thinks Superman Returns is the best Superman movie. Woo! There's a lot I like about Superman Returns, but wow, Quentin, he wrote a lot of pages, you know, a multi-page review of Superman Returns. I would love to read that. But in my lifetime, one of my dreams is to one day see a hugely successful Superman film that everyone can watch and enjoy together.